Hello learner, I am Dr. Usha Rana, Associate Professor, School of Gender and Development Study, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today we will discuss about women identity and gender construction. So after this session, we will be able to understand the meaning of the process of social construction as well as the gender construction, the distinction between the self and identity, and also the process of social construction of individual identity. How the process of gender construction operates in our society, the dimensions and implications of gender construction for women in our society, the theoretical perspective that explains the subordinate position of women in society. So, when we talk about the layman, a layperson describe about the sex and gender, there is no difference for them. But when we talk about the scholars from the sociology, women and gender study, they talk differently, as sex is a biological identity of an individual, while gender is a social identity. When someone have a identity as a male and female, which known as a sex, which come by the birth. When we talk about the gender, it is socially constructed. It involves roles, behavior, expectation, society attached with the biological sex, while a sex is determined at a birth. And gender roles are learned through the social, culture and institutional influences. A child is born male or female, but learn gender behavior over the time from the family, from the media, from education, religion. This gender identity is not inherited but socially constructed, shaped by the external force through the individual life. Yes, we experience our entire life come through by force or internal experience, how we understand ourselves and how society is forcing us. We can say the media play a significant role in that process. Education also play a very important role, and we can say the family is a primary in this process, and religion one of the significant institution which play a very important role in this process. So later we will talk self-identity and society, how we can understand self-identity. It can be understood in the reference of society. When we talk about the self, it cannot be understood as an individual. The concept of self and identity are the center of social science, because when we talk about the scholar from social science, they always raise questions about the identity, about the self-existence within a society. Self refers to the conscious, reflective personality of the individual, how the individual is understanding himself or herself within a society, while identity is the distinct and persistent aspect of the person, shaped by the social role and interaction. So, when we talk about the theoretical aspect, symbolic interaction theories emphasizes that the self is shaped by the society and its turn influence in a social behavior, while a social symbolic structure see the society as an organized system defined by the various social categories such as a caste, class, gender, ethnicity and regions. So in this way we understand how this identity work and how the individual work. Self is seen as a multi aspect of the consisting of the several identity based on the external role and expectation, because every society have some expectations from their pupils, from their natives. They want to make them in particular shape, and for that it comes in a process and work for that. These identities are linked with social positions. Yes, the role is very important within a society, such as a caste, genders, always carries a specific expectations of the behavior which need to individual to play within a society. The self, therefore, is a collection of these role-based identities. All these identities are based on the collection of society, collection of the norms which is expected by the society. And the identity is very silent. We can understand some identity becomes a prominence, likely to be the activated in different contexts. The choice of a behavior reflect which identity is more relevant and dominant given by the situation. So now we will talk about the identity and the construction of gender roles. The self as identity of the individual are socially construction. How it is constructed? It comes with the daily interactions, experience, observation within a society. As individual interact with the social phenomena, social values, social norms, social adjustings, he or she himself observe them, experience them, interaction them, and they understand themselves what is exactly. But it means their self-consciousness also play a significant role to understand all these processes. People shape their social identity based on their relationship and the sense of belonging within a community. Yes, where we belong, we think like our nationality, our regionality, our religion. We always talk about that, that is our belongingness. We belong from that, that is our identity. And individual strongly influenced by individual view in themselves. So gender as a one key aspect of identity, as which is a major part of this discussion. We are talking about how the gender play a significant role to construction of social identity, as we have discussed. But it's a biological determinants alone, but shaped by the social interaction, cultural norms, and institutional framework. It is a product of community expectation and cultural value. Therefore, gender identity is not fixed or the universal. It varies across the different culture and the historical period. It is a descriptive and dynamic construction that reflect and shape the cultural context within an individual. Yes, when we talk, this is a gender identity is not fixed. It's change. What if someone belongs from the different country, different region, different ethics, his identity, his understandings, it differ compared to other. So, sex, gender role and gender equality. When we talk about the equality, what is that? So it starts from the biological understanding of the male and female. When we talk about the biological difference in between the male and female, such as chromosomes, makeup, we all know, we have a study about that. XY comes with the male and XX in the female. So that is a chromosomal makeup which come by the nature, which is a natural identity of being a male and female. And after that it comes a different kind of the hormonal label, hormonal issue, reproduction organ, reproduction process, which come with the female and male have a different role in this process. The psychosocial traits of in birth, it's come with your birth. You cannot change. How these biological differences translate into the behavior. Like we used to observe male come with the aggression, female come with the calm. So that kind of the hormonal difference, biological difference can be addressed in the male and female. Their behavior, their role, expectation is from the society, how society is expecting the context of gender, what kind of expectation can be done from the male and what kind of expectation can be done from the female, how the female will play role, what is the norms, what is the limits decided by the female from the society and what from the male. So gender identity is shaped by the external force also, like a family, like a education, we have discussed about that. It influenced not only by the individual perceived themselves, but also how they are perceived from the treated by the society. What kind of infrastructure, what kind of the values have been provided by the society to individual. Gender role often lead inequalities. Yes, that is also the another important aspect which we are addressing here. Like women are always understand as a subordinate role within a society. These roles are very among the society influenced by the factor. We can say, in other word, it is a intersectionality, how the influence the social structure to individual identity within a society or the inequality within a society. So it's also addressed by the class, by the race, by the caste, by the sexuality within a society. Like among the societies, when we influenced by the factor such as we discussed, caste, class and sexuality, but there is a feminist understanding is little different. The feminist scholar like the Simon de Beauvoir used to say it, one is not born bigger. Women, see, become women. Yeah, women are not born, they are made. And how they made? They made by the society. Society shaped them according to predefined, pre-required, pre-decided role and socialized them in that process to women can be a women. So that is a book which has been written by the Simon de Beauvoir, Second Sex, which address broadly to this concept. Gender identities are not fixed. That is also true. It is not a fix that can change over the time through the social movements and the shift of a culture. We can compare like earlier centuries and current century have a different kind of a setup, different kind of a role, different kind of a understanding, even different kind of the role for the male and female. Now we can observe, we can understand, and we are watching women are participating a broader aspect within a society, all socio-economical and political sphere. So social construction of a gender roles, how the role are constructed by the society, what is a process behind that. Like people see things, meet people, experience, like when we used to observe in day-to-day life, we meet to different kind of the people, different kind of religion, they belong to different kind of religion, they belong to different kind of their experiences. We also come from our past experience and we relate ourselves with that, and we try to understand that by our own understanding, and everyone have their different understanding, and everyone try to understand with their own perception, what is exactly that, how I am understanding that, and how I am relating with myself with the social structure and whatever the process in front of us. Based on these, we build our own ideas. Yes, we try to build our own understanding. What is my understanding about that and how it interacts to me? That is called social construction of reality, which is another theory, how the social construction of reality comes in existence and how we try to understand social reality as a lens of social scholar, as a lens of social student of social sciences. In this continued process, we shape both individual and society, because that is interrelated, interdependent, interconnected. We cannot understand one without other, because society cannot construct without the pupil, and people cannot be shaped and socialized without the society. People are living within a society, people are understanding a society, society is helping them to shape according to the existing structure of a society. That is a continued process which always work in every society, in each time zone, we can say civilization or the culture. So it is a conscious process. That is a conscious process to shape by both individual and society. People view, are influenced by their background, their culture, their language, and of course the social position play a significant role. So the social construction often reflect the interest of certain groups and can be biased. That is very important. Gender is one of such social construction, because we had discussed sex is a biological and gender is a social constructed. Gender is socially related. We have to understand the social structure, social periphery to understand the gender. The society teaches us the different roles for the male and female, and it's often unequal as we are addressing that. These roles can change when the social values change, but they often give women a lower position in many areas of life. So now the gender inequality and construction of gender roles. How? So gender shaped by the history. Yes, history. As Foucault said, history play a significant role because some cultures, some practice start and it's continue for duration for the one generation and two generation. Then it's become the history, and history comes with the power. That's Foucault addressed. History comes with the power, and history play a major role as to continue the existing practice, to continue the existing norms and values, because the society supported by the history, it is coming from our forefathers, it is coming from the past experience, so it is existing and it is true. And culture, of course, culture is very important. We talk about the man-made culture and natural culture. Here we are talking about the man-made culture. Every conscious and unconscious practices which started to shape the society, to understand society, which play a very important role. Society, of course, we are discussing about the society. Society is a broad aspect to understand with this class. An institution, we talk about the family, we talk about the marriage, we talk about the kinship, which also help, which also support to shape the social institution. These roles decide how people walk, move, dress and behave. We can understand that easily. We have a different kind of the movement, we have different kind of the dresses, behavior pattern for the male and female. Society often divides job and responsibility based on the gender. As we all know, how the job division of labor can be done on the basis of the understanding which exists. And it also gives a more power, property, and of course the power of decision making rights to male. We will discuss about that. Male and female, we all know, we had discussed, not treated equally. But that was an existing understanding that male and female role is required to continue the society, because they balance to each another, like a women take care of the house and male in outside. So that is women always comes with a lower status. This is comes the argument towards the feminist scholars, and they are not ready to accept this. Social institutions such as a family, caste, religion are the prominent agencies in that process, and we will discuss about that. Gender and sexual division of labor in the family and household. Yes, we were talking about the family is a very important institution in that process. So we were talking how the family play an important role. Family, it starts from the beginning of our life. Each human introduced within a family in the first or entire life, we can say. So there we like a different kind of the family fulfill are all required biological, financial, emotional, social, everything decided by the family. So family play a very significant role. Family divided the role and responsibility to each another. But feminists point out the families also hide unequal power structure, like they provide the preference of son, they provide a property right to son. This kind of argument we can address within a society. In the most family, male have a seen the earner and decision maker, while women are expected to take care of the home and children and elderly people within a family. And this division of labor, it is historical, to it seems as a natural, but it is not a natural. It is a social society made by the society or made by the family and other institution. Value to male work or ignore the female's work. Whatever the female are doing within a house, this is a unpaid work, and society and family is not addressing that work. Like that situation come with the less of resources in the part of women, like food. Women always eat leftover food, so she come with the anemia and malnutrition, and male child gives more preferences in the food practices. Same in education process, male child gives more preference to give a higher education from the good education compared to the female children. And of course the freedom. Female always constructed, female always controlled by the family and society. So this system makes women powerless, isolated, and less confident. So that is a different another irony within a society, because society 50% population come in this structure, which makes society weaker. So now the people said the women earn less and involved in a low kind of the job, so she is less skilled, less productive, and have a family duties. But the real reason also linked with the society build a gender role, like a female, as what kind of job women can do if she want to do, like it is addressed the women nature ability is a different to male. So she can be the caregiver, she can be the teacher, she can be the nurse, or the kind of a clerical job she can do, she can be the operator, kind of a job decided for the women which suits to women personality. That is also the one another stereotypes for in the context of job. Women's work seen as a less important, as we are discussing. Her also income also not accepted as a main source of income. It is accepted as a side source of the income. So that is a labor market always play a significant role. Even more women join a workforce today. These old beliefs continue. It is still expected to women. She have to play her primary role towards the family, like a take care of a children, like a take care of the elderly people, and the family responsibility, household chore must be addressed by the women only. So that kind of gender understanding is still existing within a society. Later, socialization and role stereotype. Socialization is a very important process. Once we come individual as a child, we come as a biological being, and society transform us as a social beings. We transfer within a society, and that we learn the social values, social rules, social norms, and we come as a social beings, from the biological beings to social beings. Like so if we are again addressing the gender equality, we can understand, we can address the sex ratio in the particular state and specific in our country also. The birth of a girl sometimes seem as a burden, while a boy birth are celebrated. Girls are often told that they belong to their future husband families, not their birth family. So spending on their education and health is seen as a waste of money. Boys, on the other hand, treated as the future earner of a family, and they provided with all kind of the resources which we available at a home on the priority basis. So socialization process, people learn the value and all these things which comes. Socialization comes with a natural, that's a gender roles are not natural, as it is made by the society. Inequality has been addressing in that in entire process and position of women. We are most significant aspect, we are talking about the how the women are addressing within a society. So as now we have also watching or observing the change in the last 100 years. Globally, we can address women are participating in education, job rights, but is still not equal to the men. This because of society has built a fixed idea about what it means to be the women. This idea continue to create and support the gender inequality. There is some scholar understanding which we talk about the feminist theory explain the subordinate position of the women. There have been the different theoretical explanations about the subordinate position of a women in the various sphere of a society. There we talk how the family, community, or economy, or the polity addressing to the women within a society. So there is some theoretical aspect. We will talk about liberal feminism. Liberal feminism started in 1960, influenced by the alignment that come with the alignment, which force on the reason of individual right. That was a very big change within a global social sphere. People started to talk about the individual right. Earlier, it was not existing, the individual right. We always talk about the state, we always talk about the kingdom. But with the liberal feminism, started to talk about the individual right. And later, the liberal feminists believed that the men and women are equal and that women should have a same legal right as a male have. They accepted the idea of male work the outside and women can take care the children at a house. They doesn't interrupted with the existing social structure. But yes, they talked about the civil rights and education of women and right of vote. They talk about the basic rights of women in 1960. However, they did not want to, as I've discussed, structural society and family. They wanted to be this kind of division of labor within a men and women. So their focus was bringing graduate change through the legal reforms, and main criticism was the theory is that ignores how the gender role, work, economical system are not connected. Now, that is a radical feminism which come with a radical and massive change within a society. We want a radical and massive change. We want to change and we want to shift the existing structure because it is responsible for the discrimination within a women. And so they started to work with the Marx perspective, and they wanted to change the entire thing's role of a men and women. They talk about the biological power and they work on that. The family is a male plays the rule service, and they many of them talk about the family must be a break, and the old model of the family is responsible for the subordination of the women. Later, the socialist feminists believe that women lower status in a society comes from the private property and class division. So that was like a radical feminist. They see the family as a key part of keeping women in a weaker section, and the patriarchy and class system, that is a capitalism we can say in other word, they address in two things which is responsible for the subordination or discrimination against the women or gender discrimination. So the production, reproduction, sexuality, childbearing, that is rooted as a women responsibility within a society. Now that come with the close the capitalistic understanding about the society. We talk, India have a paradoxic understanding about the women. They have a different kind of the ideal wife and mother kind of a role which existing and entering a job, politics, social role, showing that culture has a shaped and growing. But the understood looking how the Indian Hindu religion believes one side women come as a Durga Shakti and another side it's come as a Parvati. And this kind of one is a nature, one is a energy. So that need a balance within an Indian understanding. We need to make her powerful, we need to make her natural. So we need to support with as a women to make a society complete, to make her society better. So we can say in that aspect that values, custom and tradition created on the base of social practice which can be changed because that is a man-made, that is a social made, not a natural. So we need to address this, we need to address change. These practices are not always fair and neutral, as we have discussing. We'll continue this lecture. So we need to change, we need to change, shape the power and benefit on behalf of male as well as female. We need to create the way society through the culture, tradition, and institutions, so we can make equality within a society aspect the gender and class and creed. So the male dominance can be addressed, social interactions and other Hinduism values of understanding should be inculcated to make the society better. Thank you.